Okay, so I'm mostly doing this video for myself because I've been really curious about Softstar shoes, and I've gotten a pair of Softstar shoes in the past, and I was kind of surprised. I didn't really know what to expect. And so I've been really curious about the other pairs of shoes that they've had and wondering if they would be a good fit for me or not. And so I decided to order a bunch of different shoes in my size and hope to see if any of these are actually a good fit for me. And I wanted to do a video so I can remember what it feels like and I can describe it in real time and what it looks like as well. And then hopefully this video will be a good memory for me the next time I decide to buy shoes at Softstar. I have some idea of what to expect from shoe to shoe. So these are all Primal sized shoes, except for the Rogues. The Rogues are hybrid wide, but the other three here, the RunAmocs, the Chelsea boot, and the Sawyers are all Primal sized. I got them in what was advised to me by the Softstar elves to be the right size according to my measurements. So I got 7U regular for all of these shoes except for the RunAmocs over here that are 8U regular because they're known to be quite a bit smaller, and that was the advice that they had provided, and they actually fit really well. So let's go in order. I'm going to start with the Sawyers over here. These are the Sawyers. This is what they look like in real life. This is what the sole of the shoe looks like as well. If you notice, it's flexible. There's definitely give, but it's a little bit more rigid than some of the other shoes that you'll see in a bit. But this one is still flexible. It's pretty thin, quite light, and this is the black. I decided to go with all black shoes this time. So this is the black version of Primal Sawyers. You notice that the laces are not quite black, and they're actually a little rough. They're a little rough in texture. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's a little bit of a scrapey sound on these, which shows how rough these laces are. And the nubuck is quite tough, I would say. I wouldn't say it as soft. It is soft still, but there's a little bit of a roughness to it, and it feels there's a little friction involved on this, but it is soft, and there's a nice layer of fluff on there, which is kind of nice. I'm gonna put these on and then see how they fit. So these are comparatively to the rest of the shoes a little bit higher volume, and that's kind of nice. That's kind of nice for the toes to have some vertical space, but also they're sewn on the top, which means there's a little bit of a lip that happens around here and in the back. And that took a little bit of getting used to, I think, walking in them, because there's extra length to the shoe. So that's what it looks like on my foot. It doesn't look like there's too much of a, and I can wiggle my toes, and there's lots of room, lots of vertical room. And I kind of have it pretty snug actually. And these actually showed up with a little bit of a wrinkly portion in here already, which seems like actually fits my foot pretty well. I just readjusted it to have slightly less of a wrinkle in that, in the tongue portion of the shoe. These are 7 regulars. And notice that it's also not, the laces are not all black, and also the bottom here, there's a little bit of a line of light brown. I think this is the midsole. The line right here, which makes it, in my opinion, look a little bit less casual because of the difference in colors and the difference in the laces, also the colors, difference in colors of the laces as well. So it fits pretty snug for me. This is my right foot. This is my left foot. They look decent. They feel decent. I'm gonna move these shoes over to the side right now so I can show you what they look like when I'm walking in them. And this is what it looks like when I'm standing in them. And then I'll put these shoes here, show you what it looks like to walk in. So I have to pick my foot up a little bit, I think. But they're very flexible. And my pants are a little long, but if I had shorter pants, this is what they would look like. They ride a little bit higher on the foot. That's how it feels. And this is what it looks like in the back. And in the front. I initially didn't really like these when I first tried them on. I thought they were kind of rigid. And I also didn't like the extra length in the shoe because of the way it's sewn. But I think I've kind of gotten used to it. I've tried it a few more times just walking around in this little space here. And I've definitely gotten really used to it. And I could see myself wearing these shoes in the future. Right now, I can't really justify purchasing them though, because for the purposes that I want my shoe to have, I feel like these ones serve one purpose, but maybe I would like the shoes to maybe serve more than one purpose. And these pair of shoes I feel like are mostly only suitable for casual uses. I know some people in the reviews have said on Softstar's website, they're like, oh, it looks formal enough that you could be like business casual. I don't think this could ever be business casual for me. Maybe it's just because I'm used to either different style, different colors for what it looks like. What kind of attire would be considered business casual. But there you go. I like the volume in the shoes, which you'll see in a bit. Some of the other ones are less like that. The next one I'm going to try are the Primal Chelsea boots. This one is, I think, new this year. Really, really nice smooth leather. And there's an elastic tab on here. There's no, oh, I should say this about the Primal Sawyers before I forget. There's no Softstar labeling anywhere in the shoe. None on the front, on the sides, the back, none of that. None on either side of this shoes, which is kind of nice. You only have the tag, it's kind of in here. I don't know if I can show it to you. But it's right in here, in the middle right here. There's a little tag that says Softstar, but the size 7 for regular. Hopefully you can see it. I honestly can't tell. But that's where the tag is in this shoe, and also the tag is on this side of the other shoe. So on the insides of both sides of the shoe, that's where the tag is. All right, next we go into the Primal Chelsea boot, which was released last year. I think last fall was the first time they made these shoes, but only in brown. These ones for some reason showed up with a little bit of spotting on this side and a ton of reflective-ish glue on the sole. I'm not sure if that's intentional to help with waterproofing, like maybe the waterproofing layer and not glue. I can't tell, but there's a little bit of shiny stuff going on the sole right here. It's also sewn over on the top, so again there's going to be added length in the front and mildly in the back, not so much in the back here. And they do have elastic tabs, and this shoe has no marking on it, none on the front, sides, or back. But on the right foot, there is a little tag that says Softstar on here. And there are 2 loops. There's a front and back loop. And there's also a little tag in here on the side, on the outside of the boot, on the side here. There's a little tag that says Softstar 7 right here. And there's also a little tag on this side, the outside, that says Softstar 7 as well. So these ones, this color is new this fall. They only had the brown ones last fall. This color, I obviously like black, which is why I got all black pairs to try on. So I decided, maybe I should, since I'm already ordering a bunch of shoes, I'm gonna order this and see what it looks like. In the pictures that I saw on the website, it really doesn't show how much width there is and how much of this like, I don't know, slanting gradient and a scoop there is in the boot. I feel like in the website pictures, it looks like this part is slimmer and more like that than having such a 45-degree angle. It looked more like it was maybe a 30-degree angle, like a smaller angle going up. But I saw some videos of people who reviewed it, and I thought, oh, I don't know if this is gonna fit my foot, because look at my foot. My foot has a very clear gradient, like a much smaller angle, and these boots in comparison, how do I have my foot flat over here? Okay, like this. This is probably flat. Okay. And these boots right here, comparatively, have a much bigger angle, as you can see. So that's the part that I found challenging about these boots. Even visually, when I saw the video reviews, I thought, this is probably not going to be a good fit for me. But I thought I should try it anyway. They're Primal, which I like for my feet. I like having lots of room in the toes. And it's all black, which I also really like. It's supposedly treated with wax or something. There's like a wax layer, or the leather is waxed a little bit, so it's more water resistant, which I also like. All of those things, and I love that there's elastic tabs, which helps with putting the shoes on and off, or yeah, pulling the shoes on and off the foot. Again, this reflective layer, I don't know if you can see, there's some weird stuff going on. Just this one line here. I'm not really sure why some of it. And on this shoe too, there's a little bit of that, on the edges, some little bit of glue situations on here, or maybe it's waterproofing, I don't know. But yeah, so I ordered them, and there's some stitching concerns. It's very not major. I don't think it's gonna affect the function of the shoe, but aesthetically, if you can't look too detailed, because you notice things like this where there's a little bit of a wrinkle here, and there's one that's more obvious on this side of the shoe right here, where there's quite a bit of a wrinkle going on. And I'm sure it has to do with the way that the stitching is in the double layers with the lining in the top, but it feels a little iffy to have these kinds of things happen with a shoe that's like $220, I believe, or 200 some dollars. I can't remember the exact pricing for this. But otherwise, the leather is really soft, really shiny, and I almost felt like it was more formal than the Sawyers were. However, because of, and you'll see when I put them on, it feels like they get a little wrinkly on the top, even just standing. And I think it's again because there's more room vertically here on my foot, on the shoe than on my foot, and so it kind of exacerbates it a little bit. The wrinkles show up a little bit more, and then it looks less formal because of that. But the leather itself is really, really nice. I really like how it's smooth and a little bit shiny. Not like the nubuck of the Primal Sawyers. I'm going to try and put these shoes on, which feels like a little bit of a wrestle still. And you can see it's a little bit loose for my foot. There's a little bit of a distance between where it actually tightens around my foot and where I believe it's because, again, it's this scoop right here that allows for a little bit more give in the shoe, and that feels like it affects me a little bit when I'm walking, that the shoe lands on the floor before my foot actually lands, and that was kind of a little trippy, which is probably why I won't keep the shoes either. just like I won't keep the Primal Sawyers. I like them, but and those ones I probably could get because they have a better fit. But these ones I don't feel like they have a good fit. A lot of people have complained that the toe box is really tight on your toes, and as you can see, this is my toe right here. There's a lot less give compared to the Sawyers. And it is true that it is quite a bit tight around my toes. I think I've come to realize that maybe I don't have a high volume foot, but I have maybe just toes that are big. And so I do like having more room in the toe box area, both width and height. But it bothers me when there's so much volume in the front of the foot, like in this area here, because then the shoe doesn't fit as well. Like I feel like I want to insert something underneath here, just right around this area to kind of have the boot a little more snug so that the sole of the boot is in contact with my foot at all times, which in this case, it's not always, because my foot is remaining in the same position, but the boot has so much room to move in. So that's one side of the shoe. Oh, and I should show you this flexibility of the boot as well. There's quite a bit of flexibility going on, which is nice. Compare that to the Primal Sawyers. This is of course a thinner sole, so that's gonna be more flex. But I think these two shoes have sole flexibilities that are about the same, which I personally am not the biggest fan of. I like flexibility in soles, but I think I like flexibility that's more nuanced than just what these soles are able to offer. Okay, so I put them on now. This is what they look like. Just let me tuck these in a little bit here. Okay, so what it looks like in the front. As you can see, there's a little bit of a wrinkle going on here, just very slightly. And then this is what it looks like when I walk in them. And then let's say, not that I would probably wear these boots with shorter pants, but let's say I wore them with shorter pants. This is what they would look like. The front tabs are in the front, the back tabs are in the back. I feel like there's a little bit too much length in this shoe. But I wonder if it's just because my ankle area feels really loose and the length itself actually is not the reason that these shoes don't fit very well. This is what it looks like in the front again. As you can see, there's a little bit of wrinkly thing going on. We'll come back to that. This is a side view, back view, and this other side view. And then with my pants a little lower. Front view, side view, back view, and side view. And then there's a little bit of flexibility in all of this, which is nice. Those are my toes. This is what they look like in the front. All right, on to the next shoes. These ones are quite a bit baggier. I got these, they're either 7 regular or 7 hybrid wide, which is what I got. Technically, my measurements would have been 7 regular and not 7 hybrid wide. But I looked at the pictures of the toe box and I thought, no, those are not going to fit me. So I really like the width of these Rogues as 7 hybrid wides for my toes. I took out the inserts. They have inserts in here. These ones are the Swid insoles for Rogues. It's pretty thin. Quite flexible. But there's also a slight texture in this shoe. Equivalent to, it's kind of rough. It's a rough texture. Equivalent to maybe like the sole of the Sawyers a little bit. Maybe slightly less textile comparatively, but it's about the same texture as this with the little nubs in them. So I kind of like that personally. I like that contact and texture under my foot. Again, there's a tab in here in the left side, inside of the shoe. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that quite as well. And there's also one on this side, in the inside of this shoe. And again, these ones have no markings in the front or back. And this has quite a bit more flexible of a sole. I'm using about the same amount of pressure, and you see how much of it reverberates back and forth. It's a little bit more bouncy, I think, compared to the Sawyers or the Primals. Sawyers or the Chelsea boots. And I think this is the Geo sole, which looks like this. And I like this flexibility in the sole. One thing though, for somebody who likes all black shoes, they do have thread that's not black. It's I think it's gray, spruce gray is what they call it. And it's sewn on this area, but also it's sewn onto the sole as well. So there's 2 layers, 2 sets of stitching that you can see around the shoe. And it's used on aged leather, which is a little bit wrinklier. Generally, even if I like pull it taut, it still has some of that aged look. And then of course it's just way wrinklier in my opinion. Again, these are obviously not going to be what I would consider business casual shoes for that reason, because it's so wrinkly, it's aged, but it is really light. I know that the Sawyers are marketed as one of the lightest shoes. I think the Rogues are actually lighter than the Sawyers are. Or maybe it's just because of the bounce in the sole of the Rogues. It feels less. It feels more sturdy, but less flexible. As you can hear the sound in the shoes and how it responds when I toss it up and down. I'm not going to attempt to toss the Chelsea boots, I don't think. Should I? Ah, sure. So that's the Chelsea boot, and this is the Rogues. And then these are the Sawyers. Alright, so I'm going to put these Rogues on. I love how comfy they are. They told me that it's supposed to be a little wide, so it's normal because they're supposed to be comfy shoes. And I genuinely like them. Again, because of the way that the shoe is sewn into the sole, that's quite a bit of extra length already. And I think with that extra length for such a comfy shoe, I think it might be too much length. They did tell me if I wanted to size down to 6 wide that I would lose about 1 centimeter, which this is 1 centimeter right here, I think. and my toe is all the way stretched out. So I think if I took out the 1 centimeter, or more than 1 centimeter, if I took the 1 centimeter in the shoe, my foot would be like right at the edge of the toe box, and I actually don't think I would mind it because of how soft this entire thing is. Completely mushy. It's completely soft, and it actually came like this, like flattened out and just squished in. But it's so flexible, and I really like that about the shoes. So this is what they look like. Extremely wrinkly, as you can see. Now how I walk in them. This is what it looks like in the front, on the side, on the back, and then the side. And then if I had ankle pants, this is where the design gets a little weird too. It's like, why is it so high in the front but so low in the ankle area? I'm not sure. But that is what they look like. And they're extremely flexible. And really light. And I really like them. Again, I don't know if I can justify the cost for these, but if I were to get casual shoes for casual purposes, I think I would get these in a 6 wide hybrid because I like the hybrid wide. But I think this might be too much room unless I really want them just for comfort and not for any kind of real walking, which I would like to at least wear shoes that are comfortable for walking. So maybe a little less length in the shoe with this much length on it, maybe. Or if I pulled my foot all the way up, there's actually 2 fingers worth of room in the back, potentially. So I think I could do that with 6 wide if I were to get them in the future. But they definitely look extremely casual, more casual, I think, than the Sawyers do. But they're slip-ons, which are extremely nice to have. So they're very comfortable to just remove and put on. Again, I can't justify just getting shoes that are casual and don't serve any other purpose. But if I were to get any casual shoes, these would probably be the ones that I get. And finally, we'll talk about the ones that I like most out of this set is the Primal RunAmoc. This one is the standard 5mm lightning grip, which is quite fancy. Also very flexible. And there's some bounce. I don't know if that's the right term, but you can see how it affects the rest of the shoe, even when I'm just flicking up this top front portion of the shoe. It does have the recycled bicycle too, which I don't really care for, but I don't mind. So it's great. And there's quite a bit of, I think something worth noting is there's quite a bit of a slant in the back here. The Sawyers have an extremely straight back comparatively. How do I show this well without without interfering with the, okay, I think this is the best way to show them. Straight and angled. Quite a bit different there. These Rogues, I think, have a little bit of angle to it as well. Maybe I just like that design better. And then maybe I like that design better because it helps with the portion of my foot that is comparatively smaller than some of how these shoes are designed. And the Sawyers have a little bit of slant in them, but not quite as much as the RunAmocs, as you can see here. One thing to note, I think specific to the RunAmocs, is that there is a little heel padding in here. Let me unlace these so you can see them. They also, compared to another pair of RunAmocs that I have, which I will put in a different video at a future time, these seems like an improved version from those. I bought those secondhand. They were, when I bought them, it was said that they were new, which I think they are in fact new. They were also mega grip, which I really like. For snow and ice, it's much better traction, or for hiking, which I don't really do, but I have done in them, and they feel a lot more secure than a lot of other shoes that I've worn. But for that pair of shoes, the tongue of the shoe goes all the way down here. And in this shoe, it's an improved design where there's a little curve in there, which I really like. It helps so much better. In that pair of shoes, I have found myself wanting to fold the tongue over, so I think it must have been a common issue enough that Softstar has since changed that design. Another thing to note is that these shoelaces are slightly stretchy. There's a little stretch to them, like this. Let's see if I can find a good angle. A little bit, slight bit of stretch in them. You don't get that with the Sawyer shoelaces. These ones are just as is. There's no give whatsoever. There's just a very slightest bit in here, which is nice as well. Okay, let me uncover these shoelaces so you can see the inside of the shoe. And where this heel pad I was talking about, which I find extremely comfortable, that I really like that. It's a slightly different color on here, and you can see that right around here. And if it doesn't show up on this video, I'll put a close-up of it later on. But there's a heel pad that goes around the back, just like a mild cushioning. I would say, I can't tell how thick this is. I imagine they're actually thicker than these are. Or cushier. Yeah, these have no cushion on them. These are just an insole. But this heel pad in the RunAmocs are quite cushy. And I really like that. These also have no markings, front, back, and side, on either of the shoes. Front, back, and side, which is nice. And yeah, let me put them on and show you what they look like. I like how shiny this leather is. It does still feel like a casual shoe, but it feels like a more athletic shoe as well. Like I could see myself using these for runs if I need to, not that I'm running anywhere. It feels much more secure because I can tie shoelaces, and oh, this is another point that I should probably talk about. That there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 places where you can thread your shoelaces in. The Sawyers only have 4, and I actually often find myself, again because it feels like my ankle is a bit smaller than what the shoes are designed for, I find myself wanting to add at least one more shoelace hole right here, just to tighten up the ankle area of the Sawyers. It hasn't bothered me as much now, but I do think that it would help with the fit a little bit if I just had one more additional shoelace hole to help with that grip. Because if you see, if I had all the, this ensures that the shoe kind of covers a much smaller area of the ankle. which I really like. And this one comparatively has a much bigger area. If you put them side by side, you can see quite the difference in these shoes here. And maybe not as helpful because they're both black, but how do I show it without? Oh, I know. I'll use some paper that they came in to show you in a little bit after what that looks like and how much of a difference it makes. And I really like this. The fit of these shoes are great for me because of these extra holes that allow for the shoelaces to be tied a little higher up the foot, and they're more difficult to put on because of that, but it does really help with the fit of the shoe for my feet. And I think the heel pad also helps with the fit for my ankles as well, which is also really nice. And these have really nice shiny leather on them. Nice shiny black. There's still some wrinkle to it, but because of the shoelaces, I think it feels less obvious. And or maybe I like the shoelace look better than this look. These look more slippery, I think, than I like. Okay, so these are what they look like, final product. And when worn, I'm gonna walk in them. I'm gonna walk one more time. Forgot about that. And these are what they look like in the front, on the side, in the back, and on the side. And then if I had short shorts, oh, I have to be better at tying my right shoelaces over here. Let me fix that right now. It's gonna bother me. Okay, so this is if I had shorter pants. What they look like on the side, the back, on the side. Again, there's this dip in the ankle, but comparatively, I think the dip is less of a dip than in these shoes. This dip feels a lot bigger, in my opinion, than these ones have. But maybe when I take them off, we can do a better comparison of that as well. And this is what it looks like in the front. And they're extremely flexible as well. And I think I'm gonna keep these pairs because I really like them. I like how they fit. It doesn't feel too low volume in the front. I can wiggle my toes fine. I did stuff them a little bit to help with that, but minimally. It hadn't needed too much stuffing. And I really like that. So there you go. These are the 4 different shoes. And then now I'm gonna compare the ankle and the ankle width. And maybe the ankle height as well. Stuff the shoes up. So maybe you get some contrast in what that looks like. I didn't untie this, so I'm going to use this side. So comparatively, you can see how much more ankle room there is in the Sawyers than in the RunAmocs. There's also more vertical space, I think. This one has more of a round space, and then this one has an oval space, which actually you can't really see the bottom of the shoe. I'm just pack this in a way that it makes it more visible. With the tops of the shoe, I'll hold it on the tops of the shoe. Aha, there it is. So you can see how there's a little bit more length in this side around here compared to there. And also how the tongue of this extends a little bit more further out than the tongue of that, which should help with the length and the amount of ankle circumference it accommodates, but it's soft, so it bends accordingly, and that doesn't really make a big difference. And then let me see if I can do that with the, get more paper, with the Sawyers, with the Rogues and the Chelsea bit. So this is what the Rogues look like in comparison to the RunAmocs. I'll hold it from the top of the shoe. Seems like the Rogues are a lot further out, but again, this part is quite a bit flexible, and you can push them out as needed. And it's all really soft, and there are no shoelaces to restrict or not. That's what they look like. This is what they look like from the side. And then, so now we've noticed that the Rogues are comparatively the smallest in ankle circumference, and then the Primal RunAmocs. And then the Sawyers and the Chelsea boots. This is what they look like. The Chelsea boots have quite a bit more length. Like length this way. This is longer. But again, there's elastic tabs on the side. So, and that's also the top of my, it's above my ankle. So it's quite a bit more room. It's not my ankle anymore. That's like my leg. These are what they look like on the side. And you can compare that like this. In terms of ankle circumference and how they fit. And then we can also do, as you can see, this one is high volume. The Sawyers are high volume because it's all flat here. Same thing as the Rogues, where it can be all flat in the front as well. The Chelsea's by default is not flat. You push on it and it goes back up again. But it is more slanting in the toe box. And so then now I'm going to show you, hopefully with some clarity, what the shoe on the side looks like, how it looks like on the side. I should use the right shoe for this instead. The right shoe. Find a good spot for this. I'll move this shoe quite a bit further forward here. Maybe a little bit more forward this way, yeah. It's away from the wooden panel here. And then this can go right here. And this can go right here. And then maybe this would fit in. I don't know if it will or if it could. It might not. But that's what the 3 shoes look like. And then I'm going to replace this over here. That's what this looks like in comparison. And then I'll put this on my hand for you to see the difference in what they look like. Okay, so again, these are the Sawyers. This is the Chelsea boot, Primal, Chelsea boot, Primal Sawyers. This is the Primal RunAmoc. And this is the Rogue. Alright, hope this was helpful for you. I'm sure it'll be helpful for me next time I decide what kind of shoes I'm going to get from Softstars. If I have the budget. It's pretty pricey, so one of those things you could probably only get 1 pair a year. There should be a few others that I ordered that will be coming in. There are the Rue moccasins and the Primal Mary Janes. And then I will also put a review in for the other 3 pairs of shoes that I already own. They're not going to be in here because this is my clean area of the apartment. I'll have to do that video at a different time, somewhere outdoors, because those shoes are worn and I do not wear shoes in my apartment. But yeah, I'll make reviews of them. I have a Primal Sawyer in leopard print, very different texture. It's a lot softer of a texture and much softer laces as well. But those ones I got them on clearance before I knew what my sizing was. I got them as 6 wide and excuse me, I got them as 7 wide, and they are quite a little bit wider than I need them to be. Not my favorite shoes, and I am trying a few different insoles from Softstar to see which one would work best to help make a better fit for it. And I will also review some of the insoles that I got from Softstars. And then I have Primal RunAmoc Mega Grip, the ones that I talked about, that was the older design. Those ones were 6 wide, I believe, which fits fine for me. It is a little bit shorter on my my second toe, which happens to be the longest of my toes. You can see here. Oh, you can't see really. Maybe this way you can see. The longest of my toes is this little guy right here. So that feels a little bit shorter. A little right at the edge of the shoe is where those sit. But I love the width and I love the traction and the grip on the Mega Grips that I got from there. I probably will keep them because it doesn't bother me too much lengthwise. And then the third pair that I had was my first ever pair of Softstars, and there are the Mach 3s. Those ones, I absolutely love them. They have really, really thin soles. I love the ground feel on them. Not great for walking in snow and ice, which is kind of what the conditions are as I'm doing this review right now. But I love them for walking. I love them for walking. But those are slightly more tapered, and Now, when I first started out, it didn't bother me too much. Now it kind of bothers me that they're that tapered. I will also probably keep them because there isn't another type of shoe that Softstar makes that has that level of ground feel. Maybe the Primal Mary Janes, I don't know. It looked like the Mary Janes might have potentially similar ground feel, but until I try them on, I don't know if that's gonna be the case. But I also am kind of hesitant with the Mary Janes because I like wearing shoes that have full coverage over my feet, which is why you see all of these shoes are fully covered. I didn't get sandals or anything like that. And well, the Mary Janes are not. There is some gaps in the shoe, and my feet are cold always, so I don't really like having shoes that have that exposure element to the conditions, whatever the conditions might be. So we'll see, and I probably will keep the Mach 3s for a long time. I'll still walk in them. Hopefully they will mold better to my foot. I don't think it will, but it also isn't tight enough that it really bothers me at this point, so I'm probably going to keep them. And yeah, I'll do a review of those and the insoles at some point, but hopefully this is helpful for you if you're shopping for Softstars and want to see a comparison side by side of what they look like. And yeah, have a great rest of your day, and until next time.